Hey, it's me, James, and I am here about to conduct the Kipper-Cast for the month of August 2025. If this is your first time here, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you for taking the time to check out this video, and hopefully you will find more content on the channel to explore. And if you are a returning viewer and subscriber, I'd like to say thank you for circling back and checking out some more of my content, as well as continuing to support the work that goes into the channel. And so if you're no stranger here, then you know that when it is Kipper-Cast time, that we are going to be using the Kipper cards to take a look at the month ahead. The spread of choice that we will be using is a 9-card box reading, and then I may offer some other techniques. One which is I call evolving the story, if I feel called and letter guided to do that. Another one that I'm feeling letter guided to do in the moment is to do what's called counting round and extract a line of 5 from the box. So we'll see how that progresses to see if I do either one or the other. The deck on the table for this month is the second Kipper deck that I have made, and one that I absolutely adore. And so this is the Mitchell Kipper. So that is the deck we're going to be using. And so now, without further ado, let's lay out the cards. So as I'm shuffling the cards, I'm going to be setting the intention that the cards are going to show us things that we could best need to know to move forward through the month of August 2025. Alright, the cards have been shuffled, cut, and dealt, and so when I'm working with a 9-card box, I like to start with the card in the middle. So this is card 5. I call this the heart of the matter, or the focus. So the focus for the month of August 2025 is the letter card. Okay, so letter in Kipper cartomancy represents all forms of communication. So at the heart of the matter, there's going to be a situation unfolding that's going to center on or focus on communication. So this could be phone calls, emails, text messages, actual letters in the mail. It could also be posts, online posts, right? I'm feeling like it's going to be around paperwork or documentation. Right, so again, letter is a card that talks about all forms of communication. Right. So now, depending on surrounding cards, this is typically read as pleasant letter or good news. So it would imply that the message will be of some good news. But again, we have to take into account surrounding cards. But that is, for me, the central issue, or the focus is on forms of communication. Okay, so now taking a look at the next card that I usually work in 9-card box is the opening card. So for me, this is usually like, it addresses like, why are we conducting reading? Like, what's really going on? Why are we asking the cards to read on this particular question? And so here we have living room. So now living room is a card that can represent issues related to intimacy or privacy, right? Because it usually represents a smaller space within a larger space. Right? So it could be about intimacy, or it could be like if I'm putting this down and I'm looking at this. Now, the first thing for those who are tuning in, who have been following this video series, this deck has been inspired by the idea that Kipper has multiple categories within the system in and of itself. And so each of my cards has a different color border based on category. So right now we have stop cards because the borders on these 2 cards are red. So these are stop cards. And so usually it represents a situation that is not progressing, not advancing, not moving forward, when there's a majority of them. Right now there's 2. Right? But with the combination of letter, if this is about paperwork or documentation, in my impression in the moment, then this would be something of a private nature, a private matter, right? So this could be things like sealed communication, sealed paperwork, sealed documents, right? Going with the idea of keeping something private, right? Now also too, it could be communications regarding things of a intimate nature or matter, right? So there is that as well. Now, living room can also be a card in terms of time that can represent either a 24-hour period or a month in time. I'm going to go with the idea, since this is the Kipper-Cast for the month of August 2025, and I will say, just for the record, that I am filming this on Wednesday, July the 30th, 2025. So I'm feeling like the living room in terms of timing could be talking about things that have been in circulation or communicated over the course of the last month, which would be July, the month that we are in, right? So it may be issues surrounding that, and particular a situation that has not moved beyond where it is. Like other people may be wanting this situation to kind of move on or move along, and for some reason we are still here, right? We are still mired in it, right? That kind of thing. But that's what I'm getting with the impression of letter and living room. So now, if it's not about the context that I'm seeing in the lens of events that transpired in the month of July, then this could just be a matter of communication. If we make it more mundane and maybe more applicable to viewers, then this could be communications that are of a private nature, a private matter, or of an intimate nature. Yeah? Okay. So then once I look at the opening card, then we look at the closing card. How's this going to wrap up? So here we have another stop card. So here we have the work occupation card. Right. So this is the job, employment, work card in the deck, right? Based on the title. In the image, I have a construction worker working at a work site. So this could be about working with your hands. It could be about physical labor, things like that. So it could be here at the end of it, there may be a situation here with communication of a private matter that is still at work, right? And the idea of a construction site as the background could be, you know, it's either building up to something or something being constructed or deconstructed, things like that, right? And that's all metaphorical, right? It could be like in that case, then are we laying the foundation for something that, since this would be the end and how the month ends possibly, then are we laying the foundation for something to be built upon in the next month, which would be September, right? And I do believe, I'm just kind of riffing off the top of my head here without going back and actually looking at the video, but I do believe that I said something in the last video about something taking place around the next major holiday, which would be Labor Day. This is making me think of Labor Day with work occupation, yeah? So it could be saying that something's going to be in the works, something's being worked on or worked upon, but it has to do with the central issue about communication, paperwork, documentation, something of that nature. Okay, so now let's start turning over the other cards and see what we have. So here we have expectation. Okay. Next to that we have military person. Okay. Then we have change. Okay. Then over here we have courthouse. Ooh, okay. Okay. Then we have, oh man, I had a feeling this card was going to show up. Short illness. And then we have child. Okay, so these are the cards that are going to be making up this month's 9-card reading. And so where to start? There's so many interesting places to start. So I'm going to start with the columns, okay? So this might be beginning of the month, middle of the month, end of the month. Doesn't necessarily have to play out that way, but that's how I tend to look at the columns when I do a monthly. Okay, so I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up in this one. Okay, so here we have short illness, because I said I had a feeling this card was going to turn up. If we mirror this card with living room, we have intimacy being repeated twice. And so this is why. So short illness can represent a process of recuperation, recovery, healing, because it talks about illnesses like minor illnesses, minor conditions, states of dis-ease, things like that. But because there are two people on the card, and with the pink border cards in my deck are connector cards. And usually the rule of thumb with connector cards is that there's two people in the image, right? And so short illness being a connector card and with two people in the image can suggest sexual activity. This is the bed card because there's a person in bed, but because there's two people in it, it can represent sex and sexual activity. Now, couple that, mirror that with living room, which is about intimacy, right? Privacy. So there could be a need or a desire to keep something of a sexual nature private, right? And then that would make sense with the change card in between the two. Change is a movement card. The green bordered card represents movement, but the change card represents a change in circumstances. So there's something changing regarding sexual activity and something of an intimate nature. Now remember, let's not lose sight of the theme card, right? The heart of the matter card being communication, paperwork, documentation, right? So over the course of the month of July, we've had a lot of conversation, discussion, right, around the Epstein files and their release or lack thereof, right? And communication from different sectors, different parties. It seems like a lot of people from different camps have a vested interest in wanting to see the release of those files, right? And we all know that Epstein, was a man who was involved in sexual activity. And also, too, look at this. I'm jumping here because I just saw this in the moment. We have the short illness card, and short illness connects cards on either side of it. It's connected to child, and child can represent children and young people. Whew. You cannot make this stuff up. Okay? So, but now here we have in this, as the month has gone on, or, discussions around this has gone on, there's been a change where now people are wanting to kind of keep this private. They wanted to kind of not discuss it as much, not put it out there in the public, right? The living room, right? So there's been this change from here to here. So, but that's what I'm seeing. So as the month of August unfolds, maybe in the beginning of, are we going to notice a shift in terms of the conversation and dialogue around this particular matter? Is it that people are going to go from like, we want to see the files, to like, oh, there's nothing here, let's move on, right? But I will share, if that's the case, I'm feeling like with the majority of the cards being red, stop cards, they're not going to be able to move on. They may want to change, they may want to change things and move away from it, but I don't think that that's going to happen. Okay, so that's the first column. Second column here, we have expectation at the top. So the expectation is a cause and effect card. So the cause and effect cards have yellow borders in my deck. And so this is a card that can represent a need, a want, a desire, an expectation for something. Right, and so in the image we have a woman looking out of a window. So this could be she's waiting for something to arrive. This is about looking ahead for something, right? And this card is about patience. In Kipper cartomancy, it's known as 3 months patience. So that could put another time frame into the mix here, right? But here's the thing. It offers a directional cue. The expectation card is looking at living room. So living room is either the effect or what this person is looking for in terms of looking ahead or looking to arrive. So here we have, she's looking at living room. So living room, again, remember, is about intimacy, privacy, right? So she's looking to keep something private. Again, and that may be a need, a want, a desire to keep something private. right? And then if we go with the position of expectation being on the top here, then expectation talking about a need that could influence conversation, dialogue, discussion, letter. And then child in this regard would represent something that's in its beginning stages. Now, I will share this. In my depiction of the child card, I went with placing a stork behind the child because in traditional Kipper packs, the child is depicted as riding on a stork, and the stork has boots. So I wanted to keep the stork in the image, but the stork for me is also a symbol for expectancy, right? Because I grew up with the idea that storks delivered babies, yeah, which is why I like having the pair on the card. So for me, the stork can represent something being delivered or something being expected, or there's an expectancy around something. Right, this is a card that could denote pregnancy in the context that I just shared, right? So this could be like, something being conceived, yeah? If we go with the idea of, I'm thinking of another word for pregnancy, right? So something being conceived. So this could be like the expectation, the need, the want, desire for conversation to begin or to start. Like a new start, a fresh start, like maybe. And that's, again, a way to kind of change the subject, change the narrative, make it about something else other than what it is. Okay. And then, or to minimize it. I'm noting that child knights to living room, right? If living room is a smaller space, sometimes I look at this card as downsizing, yeah? And then couple that with child. Child can be a word, or a word for the child card could be minor, right? So we're trying to downsize or downplay something by minimizing it, yeah, with these two cards. And that may be what happens over the course of August, right? This issue that was really a hot button issue in the month of July, there may be conversation or narratives in the attempts of minimizing it, downplaying it, right? Trying to change things, shift things to a different topic of discussion. Okay. And so now this column is very interesting because I'm going to jump to the middle card because we already talked about the work occupation card. But when I get the courthouse card, lately these days, for me, this is the government and politics card. Yeah, because it can represent the idea of public affairs or public administration, things like that. But for me, this is government and politics. And it's also a card of justice, going with the idea of courthouse, right? So this could be about people who are seeking some kind of justice, people who are working actively towards the idea of justice, right? But this could be work in the domain of politics and government. Right, and then with military person, okay. So then military person is about people in authority, right? Because he's wearing a uniform. This could also be about actual military people, actually service people, veterans, things like that. So there may be something in the month of August that's going to highlight or be specific to that group of people. But this is also a card, if it's not about a person, it's about structure, order, discipline, rules, regulations, right? And so then the military person would be somebody who enforces rules, regulations, policies. Somebody who follows orders. So that is military person. So there may be something here along with military person and courthouse, something again government related. I'm tending to look at the military person in this regard as, public servants, yeah? But this could also be about law and law enforcement. Military person would be, again, people who follow the rules, regulations, policies, but also enforce the law, right? If this is about justice and the law, then this would be about people who enforce that. So there may be, I'm knighting, so there may be something new, child, beginning or starting involving the military or people who work in law and law enforcement. Right, and then note that military person also likes to change. So there's a change in circumstances that could be happening with military personnel or veterans. And then that would make sense too, because the other thing that I'm seeing here is that corners, military person and short illness, this would be, for me, when I get this combination, this is healthcare pertaining to our military personnel, especially our veterans. So there may be something about healthcare for veterans. And that may be in terms of like a law or a bill, letter. That would be Congress, right? Because they're the lawmakers, right? Congress and the Senate. That is either being worked on, or, building on something. Right, and then this would be a change in work, right? If this is military person mirrors work occupation, this could be active military personnel, right? Those who are actively in service, then there would be some change in that because both military person and work occupation knight to change. And then change moves towards letter. So that's what I'm seeing with that. But I'm also feeling like there may be some movement here or something taking place at the end of the month when maybe Congress, politicians, come back to work. Because from what I understand, I believe they're on recess. I believe they're on recess for the next 30 days or, so that would be throughout the month of August kind of thing. And so there may be something about when they return, this matter may still be waiting for them when they return. When I say this matter, I'm talking about the whole Epstein files thing, right? From what I understand is that Congress left a day early before a vote that was going to be proposed, and the Speaker of the House sent everyone home a day early before that vote could take place. So they may have gone home thinking like, oh, we kind of dodged the bullet, for lack of a better expression, but they'll find that that's going to be right there waiting for them when they return. In some shape, form, or fashion. I think two things are going to be happening. I think that there's going to be some sort of legislation or something having to do with paperwork or documentation that's going to be connected to the whole Epstein thing that's going to still be playing out towards the end of August in terms of the politicians. But in terms of maybe more public discourse, there's going to be an active, lack of a better word, campaign to kind of downplay it, minimize it, to kind of maybe move the goalposts, shift the narrative, that kind of thing. So I said I was going to work on doing what I call evolving the story. So I'm going to do that now because I have space on one side. So the cards that I would be looking to evolve would be change, because change is a movement card. It usually moves from whatever card is on the left side of it towards the card on the right side of it. And then short illness is a connector card. We have one card connected to it, but I want to draw another connector card. And then I'm thinking I will probably in another video, I'm thinking in the moment, a bonus video, show you how I would extract a line of 5 and read that. So let's do the evolving the story process. So I have the deck in hand. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle the cards. And we're just going to be asking the cards for more about the story and how it is evolving. Okay, so I'm going to cut the cards. Hopefully you can see that on the side there. And so we're going to do this for, going in the order of the cards, we'll do this for the change card first. Hopefully you can see that maybe a little bit at the top. I'm looking for a card for change. All right, we're going to put that there. We're going to gather the deck up. And now we're going to do it again for short illness. Okay, once again, I'm going to go ahead and cut the deck. Now I'm looking for a card for short illness. There we go. Okay, so now let's take a look at the card for change. What's on the other side of change? Here we have unexpected money. Okay, so the unexpected money card is, it could be about money, but in most cases, if it's not about money, then this is a card that can represent something unexpected, something, some kind of change, right? Because the image has money, coins in the hand, so this could be change at hand. It could also be a card that represents improvement, right? Okay. So with the idea of wanting to change something, improve something, but something sudden. So then we have something unexpected, something sudden, with the idea of trying to improve a situation. Then we move from that to letter, right? So this would be conversation, communication, paperwork, documentation, right? But it was, the change was precipitated by this unexpected money. So this would be, again, something unexpected with the idea of changing something, improving something. Right? And so, oh, I'm going to put this in the background. Talk about the background, excuse me. So in the background of this card, I have some kind of a nod to card 20 in the deck, and card 20 is the house card. So in the back, there's houses in the background, because sometimes it could represent trying to change or improve something regarding one's household. And usually with the money part of that is like paying bills, household expenses, things like that, right? So I'm going with the metaphor here that the houses in the background could represent the house in the background, meaning Congress in the background, wanting to change something, improve something, and then they're doing it through the means of trying to move forward something in documentation, something in paperwork form, right? Okay, so there's that. And then, okay, so short illness. Now remember, if this is about intimacy, right? Physical intimacy, sex, sexual activity, then the long road is a card that would represent something that's been a long time coming, or something that has happened down the road or a ways back, that kind of thing, in terms of the past. This is known as 1 to 2 years patience, whereas the expectation card, I'm going to put the card down, the expectation card here is 3 months patience. This is 1 to 2 years patience, right? So this is something maybe that's been in the works or coming down the pike for like over the last year or two, right? And now it's here, and now there's going to be some sort of change around it, right? Now, a long road, nights to letter, right? So this would be, you know, for over the last 1 to 2 years, this paperwork, this documentation, the files, right, has been the topic of discussion, conversation, right? But it connects, this is connected to this. So something that happened a ways back. That's how I'm looking at it, right? And now wanting to move this forward, right? Because it can be something that has been a long time coming, or something that has a long way to go. It's about perspective, how you're choosing to look at it. I'm going to look at it in the lens of the past and the rear view mirror type experience, right? We've come a long way, right? So we're looking at the past, and that's how I would link these two. But that's what I'm seeing here. So again, I'm just getting the sense that there's going to be still some debate, conversation, dialogue, discussion around the Epstein files. I don't feel like there's going to be a whole lot of activity in terms of like trying to move away from it, although there will be a concerted effort to do so, work occupation, a concerted effort to do so, but I'm not feeling like it will amount to anything. There will still be people who want to know, but you'll find more and more voices. And I'm going to say this is maybe more through social media, online posts, that kind of thing, about people trying to downplay it, minimize it, those kinds of things, right? And then also too, I'm also getting at the idea that there may be something that's going to be happening revolving or involving our military personnel, service personnel, veterans, and it may involve their health care, right? And again, that may be a matter through legislation, right? So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and end this month's Kipper-Cast here. If you made it to this point in the video with me, I want to thank you for giving me the gift of your time. I never take that lightly. And I look forward to sharing this space with you in our next Kipper-Cast, the one for August 2025. So in the space between then and now, I'm going to go ahead and make that second video. That's going to be like a bonus, because I do remember someone asked me, and I believe it was Tamara, asked me if I would be willing to make a video explaining how I went about the counting round in the previous video. So I will go ahead and do that. And I'm saying previous video. I believe the previous video in question was I used a playing card deck for my Oracle Outlook video reading. I think that's where I did it. But I will go ahead and do that for my Kipper audience here. So again, be on the lookout for that video, and until then, take care and have a great day.